Well, it's been a pretty quiet offseason for the Milwaukee Brewers, save for the news back in November on Brandon Woodruff and Jake Bauers becoming their, right now, first baseman. Hopefully, things will be moving here in the next couple of weeks. We got plenty of time. We'll get to that, some of your tweets, and we'll get into a few other things of the Milwaukee Brewers and say goodbye to Rowdy Tellez. Oh, Rowdy, we knew you, but, this was not a long-term, this was not an LTR. We'll get to all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
There's rumors of a trade out there between the Brewers and Twins. We'll get to that. Some other news. The Brewers have some new owners buying in, some wealthy people as well. We'll get to that. Tellez going to the Pirates. All that and more coming up here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here on our midweek here. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Download our episodes. We're still here in the off season. Google, Spotify, Apple, run all the major downloads. And of course, hit us on YouTube, our growing YouTube page. Please go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Would love to have you a subscriber. Any way possible. Love to how you view this or listen to this podcast. Love to have you along because here we are. We're getting to mid-December right now, and nothing has really happened with the Milwaukee Brewers. Nothing has really happened. My name is Chuck Freeman, longtime sports caster in the state of Wisconsin, a talk show host. Still do those things, but I do Locked On Brewers as well, and I love doing it. Love being here with you and talking Brewers baseball, even though it's the off season and wish we had some news to talk about here. Anything. I wait till like mid-afternoon or so, just in case something pops up. You hear these rumors, you go to Twitter and all that, and I'm checking, I'm scrolling around thinking, what is happening? How are we fixing that first base spot? How are we fixing that third base spot? What are we doing with this crowded outfield? Is Corbin Burnes still a Milwaukee Brewer? Well, the answers to all those is, it's all uncertain, just rumors. I guess we could start with a Corbin Burnes update. Now that we're at it, this was not going to be part of my agenda, but I was on the Bill Michaels show today, statewide. Baseball season, he has been once a week, and then during the off season, we check in with him from time to time, and talked a lot about Burnes. It appears that going to the Dodgers might be off the table. The Dodgers are interested in Tyler Glasgow right now in a possible trade there. So if that happens, but who knows, I would think Burnes is off the table there. But with the, let's face it, with the bank account unlimited with the Dodgers, who knows? And would they have room for Burnes with Glasgow? They'll find room. You always find room for great players. But I would think that maybe one of the options of going to the Dodgers might be off the table. I get a lot of questions about Bauers. Should he be the everyday first baseman? Bill asked me that today. And I've said this before. I think there's a better route that they can go. And I hope that is not the plan. I just hope that right now, if you talk to Matt Arnold off the record, he would say, well, no, we're trying for better options at first base. Maybe a DH guy coming off the bench. Okay. But not my everyday first baseman. There's also, I get a lot of tweets about Willy Adames. Do you think he's going to be on the team? He's going to make about $12.4 million for the upcoming season. And you hear rumblings about him and the Dodgers. The Dodgers having some interest in Adames and maybe the Atlanta Braves as well. Maybe still two possibilities. I would not put it by the Brewers to trade Adames to one of those teams, or, I was telling this to Bill. It could come down to with Burnes or Adames. We talk about trading to the Dodgers, maybe the Yankees or Boston or whatever, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a suitor comes in and he's going to the Texas Rangers. What? He's going to the Colorado Rockies. What? I mean, who saw Craig Counsell going to the Cubs? I mean, it was like Cleveland and the Mets. And all of a sudden the Cubs popped up from nowhere. So just learned that anything can be expected. We think, Burnes going to go to the Dodgers, and it could be a team that we totally not talk about. That's just the way, it is sometimes. I mean, like, who saw Damian Lillard coming to the Milwaukee Bucks when, it was New York, I believe, or Miami, or, one of the big shot teams. And then he came to the small market Milwaukee Bucks, and everybody in the national media got ticked off. But, there was one possibility of a trade. There was a rumor out there that the Brewers and maybe Minnesota Twins could be involved in talks for the Brewers getting Kyle Farmer from the Twins and Polanco, who a couple of years ago, Polanco was pretty good. When he first got there, he was their everyday second baseman, and he had 33 homers in 2021. Those power numbers have come down. He still had 14 last year, batted about 255, I believe. But the Twins are looking for outfield spots. They're looking for outfield depth. There's positions to be won with the Twins, and then they might be interested in Garrett Mitchell and maybe Tyrone Taylor as well. So this Polanco and Kyle Farmer. Polanco is 30. Farmer is 33. Farmer, good heady shortstop. We know him from his days with the Cincinnati Reds. But I think the Twins have got other options, maybe in their farm system or other options they might be thinking of. Now, they did pick up the option on Polanco, and I believe they did on Farmer as well. But, two guys that, that apparently the Twins are expendable. Now, they're just pieces. They're not major impact guys, but two good players. But you give up Garrett Mitchell. I think Garrett Mitchell, I have a feeling he's going to be the guy traded out of that outfield. Now, again, he's coming off the shoulder injury, and teams are going to be questioned about that and all that, but I have a feeling Garrett Mitchell could be the guy that they trade for. But if I'm giving away Garrett Mitchell, I want more than just two pieces like Jose Polanco and Kyle Farmer. I want, two nice players, two middle infield guys. Okay. Maybe I'm asking too much for Garrett Mitchell, but I'd like a guy. I need to put a guy who's going to be a difference maker on this team. A difference maker. Now that we lost Rowdy Tellez. Just kidding. And we'll get to Tellez coming up here in a little bit. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook, for a reason, because they are great. There's no doubt about it. Score early and often. Got the NFL coming up this weekend. You got 3 games coming up on Saturday. Got the full NFL card on Sunday. Of course, you got Thursday and Sunday games, and you got all this college bowl season just going. Great time. And college basketball, NBA. Great time to get in touch with FanDuel. You get this deal going on with new customers, $150 in bonus bets, $150 in bonus bets with winning any $5 moneyline bet. That's pretty good. So if you're thinking about FanDuel, there's no better time to get in the action right now. The holiday season, lots of college tournaments, lots of things going on. Spreads, player props, over and unders, everything, live betting. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, and kick off your winter right. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. This is Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everydayers. And we say everydayers out there. Those of you who follow us along every day here on Locked On Brewers. I see you. Follow me along on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Follow me along on Twitter. And, of course, get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. Set the alert on there and download us, because we're the number one Brewer podcast on the internet because of you, great Brewer fans out there. And go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, and you'll find us there. Okay, we'll come right back after this time out here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. The Brewers have a couple of new owners, not full-time, not majority share, but minority owners, and that is minor investors. Ralph and Shelley Stair, one of the richest families in Wisconsin, if not the United States. They own Johnsonville Brats, and you know what Johnsonville Brats are if you live in Wisconsin, or if you know anything about the Milwaukee Brewers. They've been great sponsors of the Brewers over the years, and when you think of sausages, you think of Johnsonville Brats and the commercials and all that, and they've been doing great things, and they have a lot of money. They do. Now, they're both Brewers fans, and I saw where Shelley Stair who's now, I believe, in charge. Ralph is retired, but still they bought it together. Now, does this mean that the Brewers will be going out there and spending some money, going after a high-priced free agent? No, this doesn't make them automatically a medium market team, but we'll see. We'll see how those resources are used. But Ralph and Shelley Stair was reported on this afternoon that they are becoming minority owners in the team. They've been longtime business people in Wisconsin, long time. Never knew they had an interest in involving themselves by buying a professional sports team. Never knew this. Again, really good business people, really smart. Obviously, what they've done to their company, their small little company, which is, I believe, in Sheboygan Falls, which is about an hour north of Milwaukee. They've grown this once small meat market into Johnsonville brats over decades. And started by Ralph's dad, I believe, who recently passed, was the guy who originally started the company. But yeah, looks great. Hey, more money coming into the Milwaukee Brewers. That's never a bad thing, is it? So we'll see how that turns out. We'll see if I'm not expecting, the payroll to bump up by any means. And Bill asked me, I mentioned a lot about Bill today. He mentioned me, do I think the payroll will bounce back? We have not, or be lifted up. We have not heard from Mark Antanasio regarding the payroll, on what they're going to do with the payroll. Are they going to be spending more, spending less? Spending less. If he comes out and says, well, we're going to cut payroll, well, that's just a terrible message. I got a phone call the other day from my ticket representative asking me if I'm going to renew. And she got on the phone and she totally read me a script and left it on my voicemail, asking me if I'm going to be a renew from last year. We appreciate, well, I've been a season Sunday ticket holder since the pandemic. I still go to Sunday games. I find other ways to get tickets, the secondary market. I go to secondary market, get Brewer tickets. So I have not renewed that. I go to Gametime and get my secondary tickets. I've done that. I told you I've got Brewer tickets behind the second row behind the dugout, but I did not. She's going to call me up and throw this pitch. I mean, it's like, just reading me off a line, and didn't even check into my account. So, not that I'm against becoming it, but I just found other ways, like using the Gametime app to get my Brewers tickets on a Sunday. And my kid plays, my kid's playing hockey. He's playing 12-year-old hockey. He's playing Little League. And sometimes, when he was younger, I'm sitting with a couple of tickets, 3 tickets on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. And, we're at his Little League tournament and I can't use them. So that's why Gametime has been the best option for me. But I don't even know what I was getting at there. With Antanasio, it would be bad for Antanasio if he's trying to sell people like me who are trying to re-up tickets or possibly could be upgrading my tickets or renewing my tickets. If he says, hey, I'm cutting payroll, because if he does that, I mean, what gives you the interest? See, right now, I always say when I did renew, I would wait, honestly, until I looked at the offseason and think, okay, what's going on here? Are the Brewers moving in the right direction? Because I thought at one point, after 2019, they weren't moving in the right direction. With 2020, going into the 2020 season, I didn't really like the direction of things, so I didn't renew. And then my kids started playing sports and all that, and okay, then that was that. But if you're trying to sell the season ticket base and you're trying to sell these 4-packs and all that, you have to show that you're going to do something with the team. Now, if they made a blockbuster move here in December, yeah, that's certainly going to help. That's certainly going to help people make a decision on buying season tickets. And I do love being a season ticket holder. That was fun. I love the club section up there. That's where I usually go. I love sitting up there. But one day I think I will. I think I'll get to go down that route again. But right now, if you were to tell me, hey, do you want, if there wasn't Gametime and my kid wasn't playing Little League, and hockey. Do you want to buy into our team going into next year, invest in season tickets? I would say, well, you haven't done much in the off season to really trip my trigger. Not that I'm not becoming a Brewer fan, not that I'm not coming to games, but I would think that, it's not been and I think everything was waiting for the Shohei Ohtani deal to go down with the Dodgers. And now you might see some chips fall here in the succeeding weeks. And don't even get started on Ohtani. It's just everything that's wrong with baseball. I don't care if it's deferred money or what. $700 million is $700 million. Worth more than Mark Attanasio. And it's just, it sucks. It sucks that the Milwaukee Brewers, along with a few other teams, can't even compete in that arena. It does. When you see the Dodgers get richer like that, and they bowed out in the first round of the playoffs, and then I put something on Twitter, and big market people were coming after me, and I was DMing them right back. I don't want to hear that BS at all. I don't, because these big market people, they don't care about the salary cap. They don't care about any of that stuff. They don't. I just feel like sometimes Major League Baseball wants 8 teams involved, and maybe the Players Association secretly wants just 8 teams. Well, it's less jobs for them, but we're going in the wrong direction on that. I just wish the owners in 1994 would have taken a solid ground, so we could have had this salary cap that the NHL and the NBA have, and baseball is such a strong union. Baseball gave all their power back a long time ago and buckled in, and that was that. That was that. And therefore, we see teams like the Dodgers doing things that the Brewers couldn't even come close on. And it's nobody's fault with the Brewers. It's nobody's fault. It's a baseball problem. Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke apparently he's 40 years old. Zach Greinke wants to continue his baseball career. Now, you guess he would have made a lot of money already, but, he still wants to continue playing, and I have no problem with that. I put a tweet out there about Zach Greinke. I said, and he was on the team in 2011 when they traded in that winter for Greinke. It was right around this time, too. It was like the middle of December they got him. I said, do you kick the tires on this one? This would be a Brewers-type move. As John Morosi reported that Zach Greinke's representatives have communicated to MLB teams that he's preparing to pitch in 2024 and open a contract talks. Jeff says, no. Tony from Texas says, Giovanni Garda. I hear that Giovanni Gallardo and Ben Sheets are available. Crispy says, I'd rather sign Sean Markham. Greg, just retire unless Zach is going to be an innings eater as a middle reliever and a short start. Yeah, I think none of you really want this to happen. Yeah, Greinke. He'll end up somewhere. He'll get invited to somebody's camp. Even though he was 2-15 with the Royals last year, he'll get invited somewhere. But I think we're all in agreement. No. Joe Ross did sign his contract with the Brewers, a 1-year deal. This has been rumored for a while. A guy who's coming off 2 elbow surgeries. They did an exhaustive, according to Adam McCalvey, they did an exhaustive test on his elbow to make sure it was sound. And who knows? You have 2 surgeries like that, they're taking a flyer on him. Again, a typical Brewers, Joe Ross move, signed him to a 1-year deal. I think about $1.7 million. All right, we come back. We'll say goodbye to Rowdy Tellez and tie up a few other things with your tweets. That's coming up next here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. My name is Chuck Freeman. Thanks for joining me along here on Locked On Brewers. We're going to get some guests coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Going to try to chase down Adam McCalvey. I know it's his didn't mean to stutter there. I know it's his downtime coming back from the baseball winter meetings. The guy works 7 days a week during the summer, but Adam's a friend, and hopefully we'll get Adam on the show talking some Brewers baseball here in the next couple of weeks for a segment or two. And we got some other guests coming up here on Locked On Brewers. We'll also check in with Vinny Rottino. He was on a couple of months ago, right after the season. We'll check in with him. But you find us on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers. We are there on Locked On Brewers. just type in Locked On Brewers. You'll see a place to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. All our content is free. We just need you to be a part of it. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. We'll come right back after this timeout. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Saw somebody put on Twitter, I think it was Tyler Kurth, who put on Twitter. The Brewers and Pirates are just trading back first baseman. We get Carlos Santana, they get Rowdy Tellez, just kind of going back and forth, trading hands. And Tellez signed with the Pirates, and good for Rowdy. Now watch him come back and absolutely destroy us. Watch him come back and absolutely just destroy us with his bat. But Tellez was not an option, as we talked about before. We've kind of that ship has sailed, as Mike McCarthy would say. But Rowdy Tellez, good for him. Had some big moments. Had a bobblehead here. His time was short-lived, and I just don't look at him as an everyday first baseman. He might be on a team like the Pirates, but the Brewers have higher expectations than the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, the Pirates might say they want to contend and all that, but they're not going to. Made a little run at the beginning of the season, but the Pirates just aren't very good, and they're never going to be any good. And again, part of that's a baseball problem, and part of that's the Pirates being the Pirates. Also, happy birthday today, Gorman Thomas. I saw Gorman Thomas has got to be 70, and Gorman, man, talk about a guy providing some fun at the ballpark. Him in his days of playing center field, Gorman striking out, hitting home runs. God, I love Gorman Thomas. You can make an argument his number should be retired by the Milwaukee Brewers. He was a Brewer legend in his time. When you say legends, certainly Gorman Thomas. All right, some of the mailbag. I asked for you guys to email me a few things. Not email me, but send me some stuff on Twitter of questions you want answered. Sam says, Jake Bauers cannot be that starting first baseman. Should be just a power bat off the bench. Adding a starter would be a bad idea. Adding a starter would not be a bad idea. I agree with you, Sam. I said this before. Yeah, they need to do better than Jake Bauers at first base. Joe says, saw 3 proposed trades of our young outfielders to the Twins. Yeah, I talked about that. I'm just not down with Garrett Mitchell. You get Kyle Farmer and Polanco. I just want, again, maybe I'm overvaluing Mitchell at this point. I just want a little bit more than just a couple of pieces. I need some impact guys. And I'm not saying Mitchell straight up for, an impact guy is going to take it, but I'd like a nice package deal if I'm going to throw Garrett Mitchell to get me some impact players in return. Cody says they brought in a couple of partial owners that are more rich than Mark. Hopefully that means more flexibility in spending. We will see on that. How about Trevor says, moving to a bigger market since MLB refuses to address the elephant in the room. No, I don't want to move to a bigger market. I want the Brewers to stay here. I just want baseball to change. Brewers don't have to change. Well, they have to change in a few areas. But I'd like for the Brewers, obviously, they're staying here to 2050 at least. Rich says, trade Burns for young infield prospects who are close to major leagues, similar to the outfielders we have. That's not a bad idea. And trading for infield prospects. And I think when you trade Burns, if you do, when you do, infield prospects, you don't need any more outfield prospects unless you're going to take those and turn them into assets and trade them right back for someone else somebody wants. But you need infield prospects probably at this point. You're pretty good in the outfield right now. In fact, like I said, you're probably trying to unload some of those guys. Steve says, sell the team. Well, they've got a couple of new ownerships. Andy says, entice a serious modern ownership group to buy the team. Mark Attanasio has stated he's not selling the team. He is not selling the team. He says him, and when he's done, his sons will be stewards of the team, and they will continue to run the team. I think Mark Attanasio's in this for the long run with the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, as of everything, as in anything, that could change. But I think, those who want Mark A to sell the Milwaukee Brewers, I think we're a long ways away from that. And that's going to do it for me, Chuck Freeman. Locked On Brewers, part Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Again, Google, Spotify, Apple, we're on all the major downloads. Hit us up there. YouTube, search Locked On Brewers and hit that subscribe button. You get your boy Freems 3 times a week here in the off season until we get rolling for spring training. Days are getting shorter. Brewers haven't done anything, but hopefully that changes. Mid-December here, time to get the ball rolling. Yeah, I know it's easy to be antsy about the Milwaukee Brewers. It is. Got to hang in there. I get nervous too. Each day. Now I'm checking Twitter when I get up, checking for at least some rumors out there. More than getting Polanco and Farmer from the Twins. Nice players. But, like to see the Brewers pull off a blockbuster. Surprise me. See you, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.